we're going to have a back wall. Next week we're having a back wall. So we're just going to put a portion of it here so we can see. And you're just drawing by eye. You're just looking at mine and trying the best that you can to get sort of the same proportions. So I've got a little box here. I've got space down below, space above, and more than half the space over on the other side. Everybody's using their pen. Okay, so there we go. This time, though, we have 9 feet divided into three equal parts, and divide each of the 3 up into 3. So you can just fold a piece of cartridge paper in half and use it for these kinds of sketches. 0 always on the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 feet. And we're going to put our horizon at 6 feet this time. Now this is where our back wall stops. And we're going to stop it over here too. Just over at the edge of your paper, stop it. This time we have a wall that's not facing us. So we have to draw that in, use our vanishing point. So here we go. See, we can't go very far without a vanishing point when we're dealing with perspective. We'll put our 1-point vanishing point up, putting it over as far to the left as I can. So I use my vanishing point, I project it, this is just a projection, through that 9 feet, and I'll get the height of my wall. And again, you do your best, do a phantom line, and then I like to rest my whole hand on the paper. That might help if you're... Okay, and then at the bottom at 0, we're going to... So we've created a room here. We've got a little section of a room. We have a ceiling. We have a floor. The floor goes from here to here. That's our floor line. This is our ceiling line here. And this is our back wall. From here to here. That's our back wall. Now, in our room, something we're going to do a great deal of is pierce the picture plane and build things into our wall. Now, to do that, you have to do what it sounds like. You have to extend this line. That's our floor line. You have to extend it and give yourself another vertical. Now these verticals remain straight throughout their length because they don't turn away from us. It's only things that turn away like this ceiling and this floor line that we need the vanishing point. So now we've got a little segment here that's actually cut into the wall from where we started. So now I need my vanishing point for that as well. I have to take that all along the width of the wall. So you project, do a phantom line if you need to till you're hitting the right point. And what we're expecting to see is that this appears wider closer to us and smaller further away. So you're expecting to get a feeling of expansion as this comes forward. And do so on the bottom, that we have this now sticking out. Now there's another really interesting trick that you can do. So now we've got to stop this wall. So Okay, so we've got to stop this wall and get the thickness to go all the way as far as we can go here. So now this should line up with this. Now some of these lines we're never going to need them, but we do need them because we have to make sense of this. So what's making sense here now is that this little bitty line, this little bitty box back here, looks like this closer to us. This close to us. It looks like that. So it should look, on your drawing, it should look a lot bigger too. And it's also good to get everything lined up like that. Now, what we have to do is we're going to have a fireplace that's just kind of a hood that sticks out from the wall. Very elegant, very subtle, elegant fireplace. And a bench underneath, like a beautiful ledge underneath. So we want to divide our wall up into 3 parts, and there's a wonderful trick to do that. Find thirds. So 6 foot is a third, and 3 feet is the other third. So if we bring those along, now this is interesting. See, your eye level is always a straight line. So if you take anything and you're not sure where your eye level is, if you take something and hold it in front of you and raise it until you can neither see the bottom nor the top of it, that's your eye level. And so that's what's happening here. We cannot see the top or bottom of anything. Once we get to the eye level, it's a straight line. So if we drew a box up here and it ended there, you'd put a straight line, rather than below where we can actually see inside. So that's very important to know. Now, we want to divide this into 3. So I've got my first third. I'm going to divide this line into 3 where I originally started, and that will help me to figure out where each of the 3 panels for the width are. I know that I've got the height divided into thirds. Now I have to divide the width into thirds. Okay, so there it is. And this is on the front, remember? You have to keep, this is tricky. You've got to remember, this is just the front. The back now would go in, but we don't need that just yet. So let's just remember, this is coming from the front. We'll consider that the back. So this is the front. It has to stop on the front of this end, and this is the back end. So front, front, back, and back, because we pushed it back. Now, all we have to do, this is terrific, all we have to do is make it diagonal from the corner to corner. And make your phantom lines until you get what you want. And where this crosses our thirds will be the division for dividing up the wall into 3 parts. We can discard some of these lines when we don't need them. It will give you how to divide your width up into 3. First one should be more shallow than the next one, and the last one should be that's largest. Now, I'm going to make a little adjustment because my first 2 look too much the same, so I'm going to just make a little adjustment. And you can too. You do your best, but we're freehanding, so sometimes we need to help it along a little bit. This is only on the front. We have to bring it to the back. To bring it to the back, because we're in 1-point perspective, we draw a straight line, because this part is facing us squarely. It's not turning away. So, and where I get the next perspective line, I go straight up. And then I stop because I hit another perspective line. Now these are supposed to be straight, so I've gotten something went a little off, but you just tickle it into place. Nudge it, more nudge it. We don't want to tickle anything, so just nudge it. And here we go across. So now I'm bringing the front to the back further away, and it appears smaller, so that's good. So hope everybody's getting that idea that just even a little distance away, things appear quite a bit smaller. Okay, now it's hard to believe there's a fireplace in there someplace, but there is. So we've got to go in now and get it. Make a little box at the top here. I'm going to choose. So I've got this much thickness that I want to subtract from this. So I'm just going to use my vanishing point. Or you know what? If you have enough perspective lines up here, just choose something that goes along with them. That's good enough for now because we're sketching. So just find something that fits nicely between those two. It doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. So now I've got a little box up there. I've got to choose where I want the hood for my fireplace to stop. So I'm going to choose 4 feet. So I'm going to use my vanishing point. I'm using my vanishing point because that's how I made this wall, and the front of my hood is facing the same direction as my wall. Look for the front. This is front and front. This is back. That's back. Front and front. So what we're going to do now is join this to this. And do the same thing at the back. Join this to this. And because we're in 1-point perspective, this goes like this. And that's our hood. Now, when the one I saw, the hood only went out about this much, but I made it big so we could see it. It's a good idea, even though we don't need it. We need to see what the underside of the hood looks like. That's the underside. Okay. Now watch below eye level, see we can see that part of it. This is the inside that we don't see. But this is the part we see. We'll do that in black so we can see it, but not just yet. I promised you we have a bench underneath. Let's put it at 1.5 feet. So bring 1.5 feet over. 1.5. And use your vanishing point. We're going to be in such good shape for next week. This will really help. And if you're not getting it here, then please watch the recording so that you can be ready for next week. The bench is a simple 1-point perspective box, and the division of thirds was brought from the front, where we first established it, to the back. And the thickness of the legs underneath were split a little bit in half and brought along the full length of the bench. So this is going right up to the ceiling. And as I mentioned, we wouldn't be putting all of these in with our Pentel sign pen, but in the beginning we just want to have a look. Now this may, as I mentioned, not be solid. I should maybe not have put that line so that this could be open or cantilevered so we wouldn't see, but then again it could be solid too, so that's okay. And you see what we've done now? We've made the corner of the room over here now. We push the wall back, and there would be no doubt some pot lights up here to light the wall, to wash the wall with light. So you'd have a penumbra. You could put some of your hatching. As always, when we get our sketch figure in, we have a much better idea of the scale of what we've created. How big is it? This time we put a male figure in and put his 6 foot, the top of his head at 6 feet on the 6 foot eye level. Whereas before, we put the female figure up when we had a 5 foot eye level and put her eyes right on the 5 foot line.